I love that.
Good day, Meticulous Moments audience. Thank you so much for joining us here at the Meticulous Moments podcast, where we facilitate community upliftment through leadership development. And we have a very, very special guest with us this evening. And I am so blessed to have her here with me. She's a beautiful soul. Her name is Ranelle Golden, and she's a producer and a screenplay writer, as well as a director. I'm going to read her bio to you before we go into this lovely session. Ranelle Golden is an award-winning director, screenplay writer, producer, and author. Ranelle's multitude of talent extends to experience in music, writing, film, and television. Ranelle has written over 60 screenplays, produced several TV pilots, a short series now on Amazon, 5 features since 2019, multiple music videos, commercials, and more. She has directed over 20 films and series. Ranelle ran a successful performing arts school where over 400 students attended during her time. She's published multiple children's books with several planned for 2023 and 2024. Ranelle brings to her productions her corporate experience in management and accounting. Ranelle Golden is truly a creative, and she has had experience in every division of the industry: music, writing, television, and film. Coupled with drive and ambition, she is unstoppable. Welcome, Ranelle. We are so blessed to have you. Please introduce yourself to the audience.
I'm thrilled to be here, Juanita. I'm Ranelle Golden. I like being creative. And you summed up the rest, so it's so weird hearing it out loud. Yeah.
Well, you definitely are unstoppable. I mean, you started with a lot of your projects in 2019, and you just keep going. And, you know, we had a virtual coffee or a Zoom meeting, and we discussed some of the points that we want to, touch on this evening. And I would like you to tell the audience, because you went through quite a lot during COVID as well. Tell us about the experiences that you've had that have really brought you to this place. It's a wonderful, wonderful story.
I won't go back too far, but how I ended up becoming a filmmaker, of all things. I was running our performing arts school. That it was around 2009. I woke up one day and I had lost a big part of my vision, my eyesight. And, straight lines were like roller coasters, and I was losing my eyesight. So, without all of the nitty gritty, we ended up going to the neuro-ophthalmologist, and, he was like, oh, I see this all the time, a couple times a year, and women like you lose weight, your eyesight will come back, right? And I'm like, okay. And, what am I supposed to do? This was supposed to be a renowned expert. But despite trying to take his advice and remaining calm, my eyesight kept going and going and going. And, I had to make a very difficult decision, which it was gut-wrenching at the time, to close my performing arts school. And we catered to like elementary, middle school, some high school, but they were all very important to me. And we did summer camps and musical theater, and like it was sort of a very hard decision to make. And it was Christmas time when I had to make that decision, and we were just finishing a big Christmas show with all the little kids, and it was sweet. But closed the school and started looking for a regular neurologist. Ended up with at one point I had about 7 doctors, experts, and all these things, and went through a bunch of spinal taps and all of these things, and they checked me for everything: Parkinson's, MS, just everything, to see what was wrong. But nobody really ever, including that first doctor, checked my eyes. So the vision kept going, and eventually I ended up, because of my family circumstances, kind of bedridden, didn't leave my bedroom for like 9 months. because I couldn't see, and it was a new way to live. I became legally blind and I wasn't getting around, and I had a lot to deal with. Well, one day I decided, you know what, I'm of a certain age. I was in my early 40s, and I'm like, all right, it's time to find my voice. And I refused to go to another neurologist appointment. And that didn't quite go over well. My partner went without me because it was embarrassing that I wouldn't go. So he kind of went without me. And I thought that was strange, but it did lead me to finding the research and finding eye experts. And I got into a place here in Florida that's done a lot of research for a lot of conditions. I love my doctor. I still see him every 6 to 8 to 12 weeks now for a procedure. But I got into him, and at first I was going every week, and he was doing a little procedure, and he started to restore a lot of my vision. And within about a year, I was cleared to drive. I'm still blind in one eye, but I took a cross-country trip by car with my kids. They were little, and so we drove from from the south to the north, all the way up. But I started to get my life back. But the way I ended up where I'm here now today is in being bedridden. My daughter, who was a teenager at the time, she couldn't bear like how I was sad. Like, they thought I had a brain tumor, and they were like, be prepared. You waited too long. You didn't get help. Because I waited, because one doctor said lose weight or do this or that, I didn't get the actual medical help fast enough to keep all of the vision. I could have reversed it. And that's kind of, that's terrible to realize, but losing your eyesight is not a death sentence. But my daughter, she set me up on Facebook, and she started putting me on writers groups. And then I met my first co-writer, and he was also going through all these crazy things. And I had really only written one screenplay at that point. And it was like a true story. And I had written a book, but I hadn't like really done screenwriting. I didn't know what I was doing. But he and I dived in. We wrote 2 feature films together before you knew it. And we wrote a full television series. Wow. This was all in like 6 months. Like, wow, and that kind of started the journey. And then I'm like, okay, well, now what? What do you do with these? So I started sending them out to people for pitches and this and that, but I had no credentials in the film industry. So this was 2010, 2009, all this started, somewhere back there. So I talked to somebody, and they're like, well, make a short, make something based off one of these feature screenplays you've written. And I was like, oh, yeah, okay. So I found a camera guy, I hired a director, I held these casting calls. I knew how to do all that from running the Performing Arts Academy for so long. Like, I understood all of those dynamics. Didn't know equipment at the time, didn't understand a film set, but I knew about the actors, and I knew about, bringing those scenes to life. So everybody shows up. And this is how I ended up becoming a director. The director that I hired didn't show up. And I was really blessed that my first director of photography he was just wanting to do something creative on the side outside of his day job, right? So, do something creative. It looked fun, whatever. So I'm like, what do I do? Do I cancel the whole thing? And he gave me like this mini lecture. I didn't even know him, but we're still friends today. And he's like, no, you're going to do it. I'm going to show you how. You know the story better than anybody. There's no reason why you can't do it.
Mhm.
And so he set up a monitor, and, he taught me how to, once you block everybody, you got to focus on that monitor, make sure there's nothing in it that doesn't belong in there, like equipment or crew or,
Yes.
and the first thing we ever filmed together, I think he screamed at me a lot because I would watch the actors and not the monitor. I wanted to see what they're doing. He's like, Ranelle, watch the monitor. And so eventually I learned, but I actually got the bug because then I literally said, all right, I actually really love this. And I grew up making music. And when I got married, I had to make that choice, music or not, right? Because I was in my late 20s and he wasn't fond of the idea he could be married to a musician. And so I made that decision, but I loved music with every fiber of my being. It saved me growing up in a very dysfunctional, toxic, dangerous situations. And it was funny, but when I found screenwriting and being able to tell those stories, I liked it, and I loved it more than even writing songs and making music, which is so strange to me. But the message was, I think the important part is that we dream, that we have that desire to do something, and we have the courage to do it. But it doesn't matter if the dream changes. What matters is, are you working towards those goals? And it took me a lot to realize that. And, I had imposter syndrome for probably the first 3 to 5 years. Like, am I really a screenwriter? Am I really doing this? But the more I studied and the more I did, the more I was like, hey, I'm Ranelle Golden. I'm a screenwriter. And it wasn't until like 20, maybe 16 or something, or 15, I really started like entering festivals and things like that, and winning awards and realizing, oh, people, I think they might like what I'm doing. I don't know. So yeah. But that kind of got me to becoming who I am today, as far as, director, writer, producer. And the cool thing that happened right before the pandemic, my kids were growing up, and in 2019, my son and I, he had always been like my muse, because we would talk about these ideas and what could we make or what can we do. And in 2019, it was like, well, let's start something. Let's start a production company. He became my partner. I had the one I was already running for years, but we were doing music videos and we were doing short films, and this was going to be for feature films that he and I wrote together. So in March of 2020, in February rather, we were making our first feature film. We were doing the proof of concept. We had the investor, we casted, we had the locations. So we get done with the proof of concept. It went beautifully, smoothly, wonderful cast, crew, and the project was really powerful. It's a thriller, and we're in post. Yeah, it's a really good story, but we haven't made it yet because we're in post, and we get this notice. The investor says, sorry guys, basically, I can't do it. I don't know what's going to happen. We've never seen the world shut down like this before.
No.
And I don't want to risk anything until I know what the future holds. And so that was like towards the end of March. And we just started in December our business, and we're going, what do we do now? So a few months passed. We're hoping like people will get this pandemic thing figured out. And my son started talking to me. Yeah, it didn't happen real quick, did it?
No.
He started talking to me. He's like, well, what can we do, Mom? What do we do? I have this idea. What if we make something with what we still have? And next thing you know, he and I are talking. We're like, okay, but it's got to be something safe. It's got to be something contained, so we're not going all over the place. And it would be nice if it's in our backyard. And we're like, okay. So we started calling off places we have near where we live. Farms, the bowling alley, the movie theater, the empty mall, a restaurant, like, and we were like, ooh, the bowling alley. We're like, let's write something that we could put in the bowling alley. And okay, so then we're like, what could it be? And we're like, well, we live in a small town. How about it's somebody who's like sick of their life they just want out. They can't stand living here anymore. They're tired of the monotony, whatever, because here we are shut down. No one can do anything anyway. And it was kind of symbolic of the situation. And so 9 days later, we had a feature film written. And
9 days.
This was summer of the pandemic, 2020. And I went to one of the producers that was working with me on the film Empath that got shut down. And he says to me, I asked him, I said, listen, I've got this. Do you want to do it? I think we can make it happen. And he's like, oh yeah, I'm on board, but we had to do it union. So that actually was one of the harder things, because getting your approval, they really weren't approving anything at that time. And they had a whole division set up just for approving COVID safety. And so I had to write these like safety reports. I had to find out about the locations we're filming at. What type of air handlers did they have? Like, you know, how quickly did the air filter through their systems to clean it, you know, to put fresh air in. I had to know about like the molecule size and all. I really did not retain it. That's like way over my head. It's not something.
Yeah, no, I don't know about that.
Yeah, it was hard, but I got through it. I did get us approved, and we were one of the first, I think 6 or something in the I don't know if it's the state of Florida or the Southeast, approved during the pandemic to film a union film. And I'm really proud to say we got through it. No one got COVID. We got through it. I think we were filming 14 days, long days, but we ended up with a beautiful film. It's called Harvey. It's on Tubi right now, free if anyone wants to watch it. But we got through it. You know, there were things we would have done different if it wasn't the pandemic. We would have filled up the bowling alley with more people, or, you know, done a few more locations kind of thing. But overall, I'm really proud that we were able to achieve that, you know, during the pandemic. So, but that's kind of how it all has been going. It's been, you know, if you don't have an opportunity or people aren't, you know, opening their doors for you, I have this philosophy that you need to open your own door, which for a filmmaker or a writer means write your own thing, even if no one asked for it or no one's there knocking at your door to buy it. Write your own thing, build your library, and as a filmmaker, make something. There are so many ways to make something nowadays, and I don't mean like, although you can, but I don't mean just like whip out your cell phone and walk through the street. I mean something that's got like a script and a story and a purpose to the story, and, you know, that's thought out, but there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing and creating things.
That's the truth. And
there's plenty of people.
Yes.
Lots of people want to do it because they need to build their credentials. They need to build their experience. You know, so during times like that, if you're not doing anything and you're not paying to go to school or take classes, then join with people and create something.
That's
always. So
I love I love your life philosophy, and I love the tenacity and also the courage that you had to proceed, even after everything that you'd been through, you know, just deciding, well, you have a story to tell and you're going to bring it to the world, COVID or not. And I think a lot of people out there, and you really touched on that now, is, you know, a lot of people out there have so many talents. There's so much creativity out there. And yet some of them never, they have this dream to do the screenplay, to make the short film, to, you know, write the script, and they just never get to it because of a lot of times imposter syndrome, or they feel they need to wait until they have the best equipment, or they feel they need to have, you know, certain things in place first. You will never get started if you wait for the perfect time to do something. I always say, as an entrepreneur, you jump out of the plane and then you start building your parachute, because that is what it means to do something.
Oh my God.
You have to take that jump and take that risk.
It's scary, but I love it. Yeah. I've never heard that before. That's crazy. I love it. Wow. Yeah. I know a lot of people, like, they let fear stop them, but they also, I know with writers, they have this sense of perfectionism.
Ah,
And so they'll work on one script for years, just one story. And then they'll be heartbroken because when they finally get it to that point,
yeah.
it's really hard to get it in front of people. And the one thing I am learning and practicing more since the pandemic and since things have eased up and we can go out and do so much more, that I wish I had done differently early on, is networking. I
Mm,
didn't realize, in this industry, it really is not like you have to know all the A-listers or anything like that. You have to know people that appreciate you, that appreciate how you are, and you need to feel the same way about them. And you never know. It might be, hey, Ranelle, let's do this project, or I hope we work together someday. And you never know, they come back around, and that's what happens. And so
yeah.
I'm learning, and I'm trying to get out of my way in my own comfort zone where I can network more. And, we're working on different projects right now. I'm going to be going to the American Film Market in Santa Monica in November, taking different work because, as always, we are looking for investors. The
Yes.
the strike kind of rattled us. I'm not union, not as a writer and not as a producer right now, or I'm not an actor. So I didn't know how it's going to affect me, but we had a project that we're working on. It's called Rekindled. It's a
Oh,
sweet
wonderful.
Christmas romance.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, yeah. I have
About
four
it. We want to know.
SAGs. Yeah, I have four SAG stars that are attached to it.
Oh,
That I have LOIs from all of them. They've all read the script. They're in love with it. They're ready to do it. And we had secured the location for December, but we're also looking for our investor. Well, I'm not allowed to really, and as out of respect for them and
of
the union,
course.
I can't go out there and say, oh, these people are a part of my project. I can privately maybe tell that to an investor or something. So that's kind of like caused us to, be like, okay, how do we make this happen? Now,
Yeah.
I heard the union is giving some waivers,
Oh,
but I've also read things to the contrary that they've stopped that now. So it
yeah.
really does boil down to, it's not a big project. We're trying to raise like 250K for this Christmas film we want to take to Hallmark or Lifetime.
Yeah.
That's very sweet. It's a sweet story, and I normally kill people in my stories. So I'm like, oh, I want to make something that's beautiful and yeah. I shouldn't say that, should I? Did I just say that
I
publicly?
think it's lovely. I think it's lovely. You love to do the thrillers. I love thrillers. I have to be honest with you. I love it.
Me too.
And I also
Yes.
love a good Christmas story. I love stories. So, I
Yeah.
mean, that just shows your diversity and your creativity because you
Thank
can
you.
minister to both and many other areas as well. So,
Yeah.
no, thrillers are good. There's a place for
And
thrillers
to
and there's a place for Christmas stories always. Yeah.
exactly, exactly. And I know once they get through it, we'll get it made. We'll figure
Yeah.
it out, and we'll
Yeah.
be able to do it and do it well. And I'm so excited about the cast because they're very recognizable talent that I have loved for years in all kinds of things. And to have them in my movie that I'm going to direct, it's like I'm gonna fangirl over them, but hopefully not till after we're done working. But so
So
I don't
what's the
know.
main focus now? Are you looking for angel investors? Are you looking for investors for your
I
project?
am.
250K
I
and more.
am. For 250K for angel investors. It's for the Rekindled for Christmas rom-com. And we are doing that. I'm hoping we get that filmed. I wanted to film in December. Even if the strike stopped now, it'll probably be January, February. And then I'm doing another project that's very small. We're looking for like 10K for that one, but it's a family drama. And here in the United States, it's an important story, and I'm just starting to share because it deals with family, race, religion. It's an intense drama with a beautiful message that it's called Blended, and the tagline is "Love is in the mix." And what happens is there's two families that are best friends. They're godparents to each other's children. They went to college together. They're there for each other's weddings. And one of the families dies in a tragic car accident, but their 4-year-old daughter, the godchild, she lives, and it's told from her bedside while she's in a coma. And I really want to make that, and I'm going to make that non-union. It's a television series, so I want to make the pilot here, and if I can, I want to take that to market when I go. I'm going to go to AFM in November, but I'm also going to go to NAPTI in January, which is in Miami, and that's geared towards television. So we'll see. But yeah, those are the two I'm working on now. Fingers crossed. You know, we definitely want angel investors, those executive producers. And you know, we're hoping for good stuff. And I have a great partner that's working with me on these, and she is you know, she's an acquisitions rep with lots of distributors and things like that. So there's a good future for these films if we can get them made.
There's a good
So,
future.
yeah.
I agree. And, you know, when you were speaking, I was thinking to myself, I'm going to address the angel investors out there and say, you know, Ranelle has such a tenacity in her, and she just never gives up. So if she says we'll see, she means it's going to happen. The series is going to happen. All the projects that she wants to put out there, they're going to happen, because we're dealing with Ranelle Golden here, guys, really. So angel investors, make contact with Ranelle. I'm going to put all her details in the description of this post. So make sure you reach out to her, because I want to see those films come to life. And, you know, you have such a talent. I mean, just hearing the description, the overview of what the movie is going to be about and what the series is going to be about, it's going to be amazing. You bring magic to the world. I always tell people, when passion and purpose meet, when those two things meet, passion, you love doing what you're doing, and your purpose, it's your purpose in life. I mean, look where you are today. Life has brought you to this place. That's where the magic happens. And when I watch a good film, especially a Christmas film, you know, that's just amazing, heartwarming, then that's magic to me. So it's going to happen, Ranelle. It's definitely going to happen. I can see it.
I believe in it. So yeah, we're working towards that. That's the plan. Good. Even if there's some bumps in the road with the strikes, we will still make it happen.
Yeah, strikes don't last forever. I heard about the strikes. I've heard, but strikes don't last forever. Something's gonna give. Something's gonna give, and the ball will keep rolling, and the momentum will build. Now, it's so beautiful for me, Ranelle, to engage with you, because you are such a lovely, open spirit. I love the fact that when you were going through your medical, you know, tribulation, I'd call it, because I mean, just for that to happen to you overnight and not knowing what the problem was at that time with your eyesight, that's a scary thought. And I hear that your daughter was there with you, and she, you know, put you on Facebook to connect you and to get you a little bit to have that connection with people. And then you took your kids on a road trip. You're a great mom. And then you bring your son into your beautiful, magical world, and you start this project with him as well. So tell us about your close-knit family. You know, what is that like? What do you guys like to do in your free time?
Well, so my kids are grown up. 28 is my daughter, and my son is 22. We're kind of goofy. We do a few things. So I shouldn't know. I don't know if I should admit this at my age, but I love gaming.
Oh, lovely.
With both of my kids. Oh no. With both of my kids, I play different games, and from like Fallout, Red Dead Redemption, all of these different games, but that's how I get to be with them, and they'll be on speaker and we'll talk and play. And I've been doing that, oh my gosh, probably 10 plus years. And I'm not great at any of the games, but I love that they're there and, we're doing these fun things. And then the other thing that we started when I was able to regain my eyesight, I used to call it our midnight drive, and I do it more with my son than my daughter, but we literally would go on drives very late at night. My kids were homeschooled. My youngest is in college now, but that's, yeah, you get it. Yes. So we would go and like between 10 and midnight, literally, I'm a terrible parent. See there, I admit it. We would go, we'd get in the car.
Adventurous.
We would drive down there were dirt roads when we started, and we would drive down these dirt roads and I would tell stories. And at some point, sometimes because no one's around at all, I'd cut the lights and, we'd try to make it like, woo, like
I love
or
that.
something. And now the road is paved and they're building houses. And I'm like, no, that's my road. I even wrote a screenplay about it called The Taking of Willingham Road, about these ex-cons. They break out of jail and they come and like it's like a Home Alone adventure type thing. They take all of these people hostage in these houses because one of the ex-cons' mother lived in one of those houses and she died, and he's mad at the people in the neighborhood. And so the kids, they were getting on the school bus, so they weren't home. So they get off the school bus and they come in one by one with this one old man who saw what was happening. It turns out he's like extra special forces or something from eons ago, but he's like grandpa now. He helps them one by one get the houses back. It's a caper. It's funny. And I've never even tried to do anything with that story, but it was because of that road and those drives, that some of our best crazy ideas came out of this road. And those are like the main things we do. And then we're just normal. We like to go out and eat and, watch movies and stuff like that. But the other two things are really special. So and I love them. I haven't put them up for adoption. I'm gonna keep them,
Let me tell you, audience, if you homeschool your kids, you'll understand why Ranelle says she hasn't put them up for adoption. She'll keep them because, I mean, you take on a whole load of responsibilities when you homeschool. I know my kids are homeschooled and it's a lovely adventure full of twists and turns.
How old are your kids?
My daughter is 20 now. She started going to university online, and then my son is 11. He's 11, so she's homeschooling him now. Yeah, I homeschooled her.
Oh, that's nice. You get some help.
Yeah, now she's helping because
I love it.
Busy.
I love that though. That's awesome.
Thank you so much. Talking about
you have a boy.
Hey,
your daughter is the oldest, and your son is the youngest.
Yes, my daughter.
That's cool. That's like mine.
Yeah, he's got a teacher now, so we've got a lot in common, actually, Ranelle.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm trying to get my son to get his passport because I have a potential job in the UK for this film we did called The Demon Daughter, and we might film it over there. And I've got mine now. I've never really traveled much. It's like Bahamas, Canada, or, lame, nothing exotic. I haven't seen the world, and I want to do that, right? I want to get out of my comfort zone. And I'm like, can you get your passport too so I can bring you? Because he's my business partner. He has to go, right?
It's part of the job.
Sense. Like, just
he has to. He has to. You have to tell him.
Yes.
Yeah. Take your adventure.
Not, I'll just kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it'll be really fun. I hope it happens. I hear the UK is a cool place to film, and they have great incentives, and so we'll see. But that's a bigger film. That'll be my biggest one that I've made to date. And I wrote it, and I'll be going over there to direct it if all works out. So
fantastic.
Yeah. Although, I hope. It's a scary one. It's kind of like Insidious. Did you ever see those films?
No, but I love scary. Tell me more.
Yeah. It's like deals with demons and possession, and so I don't give it away. It's really creepy, but so
I live on a farm outside of town, so we drive home at night after karate training because of the homeschooling. The kids don't have a lot of athletics, I'd say, like kids that are in school. So I started doing martial arts with them, multiple years ago, but when we drive home, it's always dark, and we're always driving on the
Yeah.
farm road. And, there's no street lights. So, sometimes we
Oh,
tell
so
each other
scary.
stories about, what's there in the bush? What could it be? Did we see, how
Yeah.
many people did we see? And then we have
I
such,
love it.
yeah, I'll send you
Oh
photos.
my gosh.
Yeah, we have these
I
little,
love that.
the little rabbits. I don't know why. Maybe someone out there can comment on the video. When we drive with the headlights on, the little rabbits always run in front of the truck. And they just keep running in front of the truck. They want that light. So I don't know. Maybe there's something that attracts
Yeah.
them to that light. It's so odd.
I don't know. We have squirrels here and it's crazy. There's like so many. And I'm like, please stop because they're really hard to avoid. It's
I can
really
imagine.
hard. And I get really emotional if I get too close to them. I'm like, no, you're gonna make me a killer. I get so mad. But yeah, it's all good though, right? So far, so good. But
So
yeah.
far, so good.
That's great.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
yeah. Now, what I love about what you do and how you pour yourself into films. It's really like you have this passion and this drive for life, and you want to share that. And I think that's the essence of filmmaking, really being emotionally attached to that story and bringing that
Yeah.
emotion to people. Because when we work with people, we work with their hearts and souls and minds. And people watch me. I've heard so many times, especially with the films that are, there's a life lesson in the film, or, there's something that the film touches on a topic, or it touches on an event. And there's people in the audience that
Yeah.
watch it, and something clicks for them. There's dots that connect, or there's a revelation, or there's closure.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of filmmaking.
Even
Yeah,
yeah. I
yeah,
think as a writer, even if I write something that's like scary
yeah.
or crime or something, I always I draw upon, real life and experience because I know, no, even if it's a sappy film, which I don't normally do, the Christmas film will be my first one. The second one I've written that's kind of sappy, right? But even if it's something like that, these characters you need to feel like they have whole lives, and you need to be able to connect to them and to feel like, oh my God, yeah, I went through that, or I did that, or leave the theater going, oh my God, I can change my life. I've got to be brave, or I could handle things this way or that way, or sort of thought provoking or something, like to
Yes.
make you think about it. And
Yeah.
it's hard to do, and budgets affect what you can and can't do visually, but I think if in the writing the core is there, the dialogue is there, my goal is always, I want somebody to find at least one character in the film, and it's not always the star, that has something that they can take away from, or they can put themselves in their shoes.
Yeah.
And it funny, sad, scary, that's just always a goal that I have.
Yeah.
And that's part of one of my favorite parts about being a writer is having the characters have a voice,
Mhm.
and giving them that full life behind that voice. So
Yeah.
it's
Beautiful.
important. Yeah.
That's true, because lots of the characters, that we see in the films are relatable. There's someone that you can relate to. That person kind of has the
Yeah.
mannerisms that I do, or maybe they have the accent I do, or they
Yeah.
come from the same country that I do, or and that immediately connects. So when someone is connected to that
Yeah.
film, I mean, what an amazing journey to be a part of that
Yep.
story and to be drawn into the
Yeah.
story. It's almost like when the movie ends, you wish it didn't end. you know, there should have been more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Nothing makes me madder though when I do it too when I write, though, when a story ends but it didn't really end. Sometimes that makes me really mad. You're like, what? That's the ending? Why'd they do that? But I'm guilty of that, especially if I want to make a part two. But but yeah, I think I love, like, if you watch a character and that character comes on screen and they have lost someone, or they have given birth to a child, or just something, and you'll go, yeah, I did that. And you keep watching because that could be you. That, you know, and it's not always the lead character. It really isn't. You know, if you see the restaurant and you go to the restaurant and the waitress is having a bad day, maybe you'll be like, yeah, you know what? I've been there. I've had that bad day. And maybe our lead character will be, are you okay today? Like you'll see some compassion or, you know, just something, right? So
Breaking
I do
yourself
that a lot. And I also think music.
Yeah, music.
Mhm.
Tell us more about the music. The music in the film is so important. You have to choose the right
It
music for the
is.
setting. Yeah.
It's really important. And for me, music is a whole nother character in the film. And that's probably one of the hardest parts because as an indie filmmaker, you don't always have a budget that you want. And yet you want, you know, these certain things musically. And I've been very blessed. Like for a long time, my daughter was making music with her. She had a band and I was able to use a lot of her music in my movies through the years. And then I've had some writers from all around the world. One of my favorite writers, his name is Saucy. He was from India and he liked writing the music after the film is in like picture lock. So we'd send it to him and he literally would write the music watching the film. Some people, they'll just send you a whole bunch of songs and be like, here, use these, or and then you pick and choose. But I think that the music really enhances the emotion. You could have a flat scene and not be feeling it. And you add that music to it, and suddenly, you know, your heart starts racing because they're walking through a forest. You walk through the forest, no music. Oh, it's a leisurely stroll. She's going to take a nap. She walks through the forest, and you hear that suspenseful, a little bit of drums that's beating like a heart, or you know, something, and you're going to be like, oh God, someone's going to jump out and get her. You know, like whole could be the same scene, but the music changes how you're watching it, and I love that. That's amazing to me. So
It is. It is. It's like
yeah.
riding the waves of the story. And, you know, I watch
Yes.
the Punisher, and I love to watch the Marvel things with my son. You know, he's a preteen now, so he's
Oh,
allowed.
me too.
And what I love the most
Yeah.
shows of these series, Punisher we watched Daredevil, we watched the
Oh, I love that.
and he's always like, you know, when
Yeah.
the shows come, he says, Mom, I love that last part with the last two notes. He always, you know, and that captures us. And then they end it in such a suspenseful moment. I just have to watch the next
Yeah.
episode. I can't wait for the next episode. I have to watch it now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
And sometimes it haunts you. It'll like stay in your head and it'll keep you thinking about it. And it won't be because of what you just saw. It'll be because of the music. So
That's it.
like, yeah, I need to hear more. I love that. That's
It's
true.
beautiful. It's a beautiful life, Ranelle. You know, we are so blessed. You know, you making the films and working with all these beautiful people and really branching out and shining and helping people to go through those experiences. That's a part of their growth. And I feel so blessed to have you here on Meticulous because I love conversing and meeting beautiful people like you. And I want to thank you for making time to be here with us today. I mean, you're a busy lady and you made time for us. Thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. I love talking to you.
Thank you, Ranelle. And you know, with that, before we end the session, may I ask you, do you have any words of wisdom, any advice you want to share with people out there? Feel free to do so, please.
So what I would share probably applies to anything you choose to do in life.
Yeah.
The first thing is I have a saying that is dream in action, which as a director, action applies to me beautifully. But what that means is have your dream, but work towards it. Dreaming isn't enough. You have to be proactive in getting to wherever you want to go. And the dream is the first step, obviously. And some people don't even know what they want to do in life. So, you know, the important thing is you're taking a step towards, you know, living fully. And it doesn't matter if it's a big leap or a little tiny step. Be proud of every movement towards your future, whatever your goal would be. For me, it might be that I wrote a page, or I'm typically very shy unless I'm talking one-on-one. So it might be that I sent an email or made a phone call or went to a networking event. That's really hard for people like me. So the important thing is take action, dream in action to do it. The other thing is, it's okay to be afraid, to have doubts, but it's not okay to let those things stop you. Don't let them be more powerful than what you want to do in life. You know, if you sit down to write and you find an hour's passed and you've only done one word, maybe you need to write about something else, change what the story is, you know, or write about what you're doing in the moment. Like, don't let fear, let doubt stop you. And if you can't afford to do like the full college, to go get those fancy degrees and to be among, you know, the who's who in the world because you went to those big film schools or whatever, learn any way you can. Learn by doing. So volunteer on a film set if you're a filmmaker. Go out there and say, hey, I want to make a movie with you. You do this, I'll write the script because I'm a writer. I'll give you 5-10 pages just because I want to see my work come to life. Like, it's just really important. The point of all that rambling is just do it and don't be afraid. But educate yourself, build your credentials. And if you need to work for free or you need to you know, go out there and take every online workshop there's some great ones nowadays from some of the great people, like Shonda Rhimes has a master's class. It's brilliant. And she gives you a lot of information that she used to get some of her, she has a series that's been on what, 15, 19 years, something ridiculous, so long, one of the top television shows in the world. Yeah. She made that and she shares. So, you know, there's things you can do like that to learn. There's a lot of free workshops. There's so many things, a lot of film groups. I just get out there and just submerge yourself, or whatever the word is, immerse yourself, something like that, in learning your craft, in doing. Yeah, I hear it in my head, but I can't say it.
Both of them apply. Both of them apply.
Yeah,
I
good.
agree.
Good.
I agree.
So just don't be afraid.
Yeah. You make me think of something I said to my son, and I heard it later on as well. It must be something that caught my eye or my attention a few years ago. But, you know, he went into his first kumite fight in karate, and he was scared because he had to fight his friends, you know, and he's thinking to himself, if he punches this guy or kicks this guy, he's not going to be his friend anymore. And I said, you know what? If you're scared of something, then you go there, you do it anyway, and you do it while you're scared. So just do it. And then he did it, you know. So I agree with you. Take those small steps, take the big steps. Just keep that momentum and celebrate the small victories. I think sometimes we don't celebrate the small victories enough. So we lose hope along the way. And I love the wisdom that you've shared, Ranelle. You are impeccable. And we appreciate you. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. I look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you, Ranelle. And to the angel investors out there, I know you're watching. 250K is not much. Contact Ranelle and let's get those movies rolling. Thank you so much, everyone. Love you, Ranelle. Sending you kisses.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.